Okay, as I told you earlier, the topic what we are going to discuss today is the shaft subjected to axial along with combined twisting and bending moments. So, in which critical speed plays a vital role in it. Okay, so now let us get into the topic. So, before we understood where this axial load will be acting, you can take one example as a propeller shaft. Propeller shaft is one of the best example where particularly axial load along with combined twisting and moment is acting. I repeat again, the propeller shaft is one of the best example. Okay, so here you can see what is given over here. This is a one example for a critical speed of the shaft. You can see a shaft is been fixed into two bearings. You can see in this left hand diagram. You can see in this left hand diagram. You can see here you are having one bearing and here you are having a bearing, and you can see the center axis, which is nothing but your shaft. Okay, and you are having at the center you are having a mass. So there is no certainty always this shaft will rotate in its exact axis. It is due to because of the variation in the mass, variation in the speed, everything will happen. So because of which radius of gyration will happen. So we will be seeing about what is the radius of gyration in our forthcoming slides. So the speed which is couldn't be controlled and a transverse movement is happening. I hope you know what is that. If this is the axis, this is called as a transverse motion. If the shaft moves like this, it creates a transverse motion. Such type of a speed is called as a critical speed. Okay, so to understand this about clearly, I hope you can see this video now. I think so. Another video. Yes. Is the video is visible to you? Whether the voice is audible? Okay, no problem. You can see here the shaft is rotating, but I cannot say the shaft. I cannot say that the shaft is actually in the same axis. You can see the up and down motion of a. You can see the up and down motion of a shaft. I hope you can see the movement. You can see the movement of the shaft which is moving up and down. So that is nothing but a transverse motion. When this transverse motion is happening at this particular shaft, the speed at which it is happening is called as critical speed, or it is called as whirling speed. Okay, so let me play it again. Now the transverse motion is very high. Now you can see, once the speed has been reduced, it will come to its axis. So this is the best example for a critical speed, or the critical speed can be called as a whirling speed. Okay. So next. So let us come into the definition of the critical speed. The speed at which the rotating shaft becomes dynamically unstable. That is what we have seen in our previous video. The shaft is unstable. We doesn't even know when it will come out of a plunger where it has been holding, and starts to vibrate violently in transverse direction. That is what happened in our previous video. என்ன ஆகும் அப்படின்னு பார்த்தீங்கன்னா shaft அது ஆக்சிஸ்ல ரொட்டேட் ஆகணும் கிடையாது. இதை if you call it as, we call it as a wobbling அப்படின்னு சொல்லுவோம். wobbling அப்படின்னா உங்கள் லேத்தில் நீங்கள் என்ன பண்ணுவீங்க, you will fix your cylindrical job. The cylindrical job என்ன ஆகாது அப்படின்னு பார்த்தீங்கன்னா, if it is a self-centered chuck, 3-jaw chuck, self-centered 3-jaw chuck யூஸ் பண்ணிங்க அப்படின்னா automatically the shaft would hold at the center of the chuck. But if you are using for a four-jaw chuck, there will be a wobbling. The shaft may be, the cylindrical object may be fixed exactly in the axis. So it may get some dynamically unstable. So such kind of a thing is called as a critical speed. So the critical speed of the shaft is called whirling speed or natural frequency of the vibration. I hope you have studied this natural frequency maybe in your kinematics of machineries or dynamics of machinery. So just I want to recollect what is natural frequency. The frequency at which a system oscillates when not subject to a continuous or repeated external forces. இதுக்கு ஒரு பெஸ்ட் எக்ஸாம்பிள் என்ன பார்த்தீங்கன்னா சிம்பிள் பெண்டுலம். நான் சிம்பிள் பெண்டுலத்தை ஒன்ஸ் நான் இது பண்ணிட்டாலே போதும், அடுத்து நான் டிஸ்டர்ப் பண்ணுற வரைக்கும் அது என்ன பண்ணிகிட்டு இருக்கும், ஆசிலேட் ஆகிக்கிட்டே தான் இருக்கும். Similarly, I can take this motor also an example. I am fixing a shaft at one end of a motor. I am trying to rotate it. I switch off the power to the motor. What happens? Until the dynamic force is relieved from the shaft tries to rotate. So this is a definition for a critical speed of the shaft. It is one of the important definition. I hope this is two line. If possible, you can write it off. The speed at which the rotating shaft becomes dynamically unstable. The speed at which the rotating shaft becomes dynamically unstable and starts to vibrate violently in transverse direction. So this is a definition for a critical speed of the shaft. Okay. So next, what happens actually means this critical speed of the shaft, where it is vibrating in the transverse direction, creates the radius of gyration. So this also you may have heard in your subject. Even though just I will give one a simple glimpse about radius of gyration. This you may be studied in your engineering mechanics about the radius of gyration. So you may watch this video so that you can have a little bit glimpse about it.
What is radius of gyration? To understand radius of gyration, let us consider an object of mass m, which is at a distance r from the considered axis xx. Now, if the mass moment of inertia about the xx axis is 1, then the square root of the ratio between the moment of inertia and mass will give us the radius of gyration.
So I hope you understood what is the radius of gyration. Since the shaft is having a transverse motion due to vibration, from the axis the shaft would move to a distance of r. Let me take this example itself. Here they have taken one object which is having of weight mass and it is away from an axis at a distance of r, and the mass moment of inertia of the whole body they are considering as the mass moment of whole body as 1. Then the radius of gyration would be the square root of I divided by m. So this is the formula for radius of gyration. So you compare the same thing to the design of shaft. So if there is a critical speed in a shaft, what happens? The shaft tends to rotate away from the axis. So that would be certain mass. If there is certain mass, so then the radius of gyration would be defined as it is a square root of moment of inertia divided by the mass of a certain object. So this is just a glimpse about the radius of gyration. So let's we can move on to the next. So now we are moving into the final topic of design of a shaft, which is nothing but the shaft subjected to axial load in addition to combined torsion and bending loads. So as I previously told, the example for this particular which is having an axial load along with combined torsion bending may be a propeller shaft which we are having it for an automobiles. Let me say how this axial load is acting. Imagine you may have a flywheel. So then you may have your gearbox. So from your gearbox your propeller comes like this. Then you have a universal coupling. From universal coupling it takes some inclination and it comes to your differential. You have this as an example. Let me explain how an axial load is applied. So So you may know that because of this universal coupling and where it has been connected to a differential, the shaft rotates, so there will be a twisting moment. Since if the load is very high at this differential, the bending may occur. Now you may understood that it is having a combined twisting moment and a bending moment. I repeat again, அதாவது எந்த ஒரு ஆட்டோமொபைல் வெஹிக்கிள் எடுத்துக்கோங்கப்பா, you can consider a bus or a lorry or any heavy vehicles, from where I have a, you can take it as an engine, everything. So from flywheel I have a clutch unit, after clutch unit I may have my gearbox. So this is from gearbox I may have my output to the rear wheel. So where it is been connected first with the straight shaft, then they use a universal coupling. From universal coupling it will be somewhat, the shaft would be inclined and it will be connected to a differential. Okay, differential la connect பண்ணிருப்பாங்க. Okay, இங்க shaft rotate ஆகிட்டு இருக்கனால I tell you that there will be a torsional moment. Since the load is acting on the rear wheel, I can say the load will be acting in the differential, hence there will be bending moment in this particular shaft. இந்த shaftல கண்டிப்பா bending moment இருக்கும். Now come to the axial. என்ன ஆகுது அப்படினு பாத்தீங்கன்னா, the entire weight of the front portion of the engine, clutch, gearbox, everything will be in this axial direction. So this load will be acting directly in this coupling, where this coupling is coupled with this propeller shaft, hence the axial load will be acting in this propeller shaft. This is one of the best example for this particular case. I couldn't find more example for this particular cases, so you can consider this is one of your example. And above which are the two formulas what we have seen previously. Only thing is you can see this content alone has been added, and one basic thing I have to tell you, this particular cases is most preferably applied only to hollow shaft, most preferably. So this is one of an important note in this particular case. This shaft is subjected to axial load in addition to combined torsion and bending loads is most preferably subjected to only hollow shaft. The way how to identify what type of a problem is, you look for this alpha f value given in your problem. We can discuss the same in our when we are discussing our problem. So what is alpha, what is f? D naught is outer diameter, k is nothing but the ratio between inner diameter and outer diameter. I hope all the remaining are same formula. Okay, so since it is been subjected only for a hollow shaft, again the equivalent torsional moment is equated to pi by 16 into tau into d naught cube into 1 minus k power 4. So this is the formula for a particular thing. I told you alpha is nothing but a column factor. Alpha is nothing but a column factor. So since it is used for a compressive loads, you may know that I have tell you an example. See here, here I am having a straight shaft, then a universal coupling, then I am having inclined shaft. So what happens if the axial load is applied like this? See, if the axial load is applied like this, the other shaft which is inclined maybe tends to compressive load. So the column factor for compressive load may be obtained from the following relationship. We doesn't want the relationship, but the one thing is we need alpha is equal to 1 divided by 1 minus 0.0044 into L by K, where L by K is called as a slenderness ratio. So what is slenderness ratio? So I'll come back to this particular slide after seeing what is slenderness ratio. So slenderness ratio is an indicator of how seal of bearing reliability relates. So reliability na நம்பகத்தன்மை, அதாவது bearing வந்து they will be sealing it off. எதுக்கு seal பண்ணுவாங்க? The shaft would be inserted in the bearing, and when the shaft is rotating, the bearing would also rotate. So the reliability of the shaft relies only on the bearing. Okay, so it is nothing but the ratio of length of the shaft cubed in the compared to the diameter. Okay, so here they are having this L by K. Okay, so we'll be finding out this K. So what is this K? We'll be finding out, which is nothing but a least radius of this is nothing but the radius of gyration. So this is nothing but the K is nothing but a radius of gyration. Okay, we can use this column factor formula only when L by K is less than 115. I repeat again, we can use this formula only when this L by K is less than 115. If it is more than 115, we have to use this formula for column factor, which is nothing but alpha. So alpha is nothing but the factor which is to be added along with the formula. The reason behind this is we are having a axially compressive load which is acting on my shaft. Okay, so all other remaining things are being given in this particular formula data sheet. Okay, so now let us come to one problem which is a real time, again a real time problem, and let us find out what would be asked us to find out. So let us go and look into this particular problem. They have mentioned that it is a hollow shaft of 0.5 meter outer diameter, which is nothing but a D naught, and 0.3 meter inner diameter, which is nothing but Di, is used to drive a propeller. So as I told earlier, propeller is one of the important component where the axial with combined bending and torsion moment is acting. Okay, the shaft is mounted in the bearing 6 meters apart, and it transmits 5600 kilowatt at 150 rpm. So obviously know that it is held in a bearing which is 6 meter apart, but they have not given anything about the load. Okay, but you can see here the maximum axial propeller thrust is, so thrust is nothing but a force, and the shaft weight is 70 kilonewton. It is entirely it is uniformly distributed. Wherever you check, it is uniformly distributed, and the weight of the shaft is 70 kilonewton. It is asked us to find the shear stress of the shaft and the angular shaft, which is nothing but tau and theta. For these two, let me introduce a formula here, which is already we have seen. We may know that Te is equal to pi by 16 into tau into d naught. So what we have seen in our previous slide, you can see d naught cube into 1 minus k power 4, d naught cube into 1 minus k power 4. So obviously I know the value of k, I know the value of d naught. If I try to find out Te, I can find out the shear stress value. This is for tau. And angular twist between the bearings, we can go for torsion equation. I hope you may studied this in your strength of materials. This torsion equation, which is nothing but T by J is equal to C theta by L. Some way you may written this as a G. It is nothing but modulus of rigidity. That's all. Okay. So for J, I know the formula. What is the formula for J? Pi by 32 into, being this as a hollow shaft, the formula for the J also varies. D naught power 4 minus Di power 4. So D naught power 4 minus Di power 4. So now I know the value of D naught, I know the value of Di, I know the length. I can find out T, I can find out T. So if the C value is not given, I can assume a C value, modulus of rigidity value as 84 megapascal, and let me find out the unknown theta value. So this is a problem what we are going to solve today. So let us go further and we can write down the given data. The given data is here they have given the outer diameter, they have given the outer diameter, they have given the inner diameter, they have given the power, they have given the length of the shaft, speed of the shaft, force which is acting, the force which is acting on a, let us have this is axial force, the force which is acting on the shaft, and weight of a particular shaft. So these are the data which are given. As I told earlier, we may try to identify what is the Te value. If I need the Te value, I need the moment value and I need the torque value. So with the given power value, they are given power as 5600 kilowatt. So it can be written as 5600 into 10 to the power cube watt. Okay. So I know the formula P is equal to 2 pi nt divided by 60. எனக்கு formula தெரியும், power குரிய formula 2 pi nt divided by 60. இந்த பவரை வந்து நான் வாட்ல சப்ஸ்டிட்யூட் பண்ணேன் அப்படின்னா எனக்கு கிடைக்கக்கூடிய டார்க் வந்து நியூட்டன் மீட்டர். So as I told, I have substituted all the value. So power into 60 divided by 2 pi into n is 150. I can have the torque value. This is the torque value. So now I need to find out the Te. So let me come back to the formula. Before I want to find out the Te value, I need to find out the alpha value. If I need to find out the alpha value, I need L by K value. If I need L by K value, I need K. What is K? K is nothing but radius of gyration. So I need to find first radius of gyration. Next I need to find out L by K, which is nothing but slenderness ratio. Then I need to find out volume factor. Then I can find out TE very easily. So with which I will be proceeding with this problem to find out what is the alpha value. So alpha is nothing but a column factor value. So before finding out column factor value, I need to, before finding the column factor value, I want to find out the radius of gyration. Okay, so I find out M. So let me consider this is going to be a simply supported beam with uniformly distributed load, where the maximum moment can be written as WL divided by 8. Sorry, if there is any issue I forgot out, sorry, எனக்கு வந்து தெரியாது சார். A beam, simply supported beam with the point load at the center, a simply supported beam with the point load at the left hand side or right hand side அப்படின்னு நினைச்சீங்க அப்படின்னா, you go to your data book, you can go to your data book, page number 6.5. Page number 6.5 க்கு போனீங்க அப்படின்னா, different types of beams க்கு the bending moment value, maximum bending moment value, so R value எல்லாமே, everything is given in the data book itself. Okay, it doesn't want to remember any formula. Everything is available in our PSG design data book. Okay, so then I went and find out the moment value. So considering as a simply supported beam with the UDL, the maximum bending moment can be given as WL by 8. The load is 70 into 10 to the power 3. The length is 6. I have the moment. So now I found out a T value, torque value, and bending moment value. So now I am going to find out alpha value. Alpha is nothing but a column factor. If I want to find out a column factor, I need L by K. If I want to find out L by K, I need to find out the K. What is K? Radius of gyration. So in my previous video, I told you the radius of gyration can be written as square root of I by A. There they have given us a mass. Okay, here I am considering only the area alone. I am not considering the mass of an entire component. So radius of gyration K is equal to square root of I by A. I know the formula for I, which is nothing but pi by 64 into d naught power 4 minus di power 4. Formula for area is pi by 4 into d naught square. நம்ம என்ன பண்றோம் அப்படின்னா, the column factor கண்டுபிடிக்கிறதுக்கு நம்ம slenderness factor கண்டுபிடிக்கணும், slenderness ratio கண்டுபிடிக்கணும், slenderness ratio கண்டுபிடிக்கிறதுக்கு நம்ம என்ன பண்றோம், radius of gyration கண்டுபிடிக்கணும். So radius of gyration க்கு formula வந்து square root of I by A. So I know the value of outer diameter, inner diameter. So if I substitute all the value, I can have the value of radius of gyration in terms of meter. Radius of gyration அப்படின்னா என்ன அப்படின்னா, I have an axis, எனக்கு இங்க ஒரு மாஸ் இருக்கு, ஒரு குறிப்பிட்ட ஆக்சிஸ்ல இருந்து ஒரு குறிப்பிட்ட தூரம். ஸோ இது என்ன டிஸ்டன்ஸில் இருக்குது அப்படிங்கிற டிஸ்டன்ஸ் தான் என்னதுன்னா ரேடியஸ் ஆஃப் gyration. அதான் நீங்கள் இங்கே பார்த்துருப்பீங்க. இட் மே பி டிஃபைன்ட் அஸ் அ ஸ்கொயர் ரூட் ஆஃப் I by A அப்படின்னு கொடுத்துருந்தாங்க. ஓகே, now let us come back to the slenderness ratio. Slenderness ratio is equal to L by K. L is 6 and we are having, sorry, I am having a K value. So then I can find out the slenderness ratio. Once I know the slenderness ratio, by comparing the formula which I had earlier, I can use this value. See here, if the L by K value is less than 115, I can use this formula. So now I am going to use this formula. Alpha is equal to 1 divided by 1 minus 0.0044 into L by K. I am going to use this formula and I am finding out the alpha value. So the alpha value is 1.22. That's all. This is the some other step when compared to our previous type of a problem, which is nothing but combined twisting and bending moment. Okay, so with which I have find out the with which I have find out the alpha, which is nothing but a column factor value. Now you substitute the values in formula TE, which we have seen in previous slides. So the formula, which is nothing but we are adding this column factor along with the force, axial force acting along with the diameter of the particular hollow shafts. So if I try to substitute the Km value, we can assume it. If it is not given, we can assume it. I hope the Km value is, I don't know, I doesn't remember. Yes, it is not given. If it is not given, you can go to data book page number 7.21 for stationary shaft and for revolving shaft, whether it is a hollow shaft or a solid shaft, you can take the Km value and Kt value. It is nothing but a factor. Okay, so you can refer page number 7.21 from data book where this Km value and Kt value has been taken. So I have taken Km value as 1.5 and I have taken Kt value as 1. After substituting all the values, I came to find out the equivalent twisting moment. I came to find out the equivalent twisting moment, which is nothing but T is equal to 380 into 10 to the power 3 Newton meter. So நான் என்ன பண்ணேன், Km ஓட வேல்யூவை பேஜ் நம்பர் 7.21 டேட்டா புக்கில் பேஜ் நம்பர் 7.21 உங்கள் மொபைலில் நான் ஏற்கனவே அனுப்பிச்சிருக்கேன். இஃப் யூ லுக் இன் டு இட், இந்த பேஜ் நம்பர் 7.21ல வந்து பார்த்தீங்க அப்படின்னா ரெண்டு விதத்துக்கு கொடுத்துருப்பாங்க. ஒன்று வந்து ஸ்டேஷனரி ஷாஃப்ட், இன்னொன்று வந்து ரிவால்விங் ஷாஃப்ட்னு கொடுத்துருப்பாங்க. I consider this as going to be a revolving shaft, and the Km value is in the ratio of 1.5 னு எடுத்திருக்கேன். இந்த 1.5 எதனால எடுத்திருக்கேன்னா மைனர் ஷாக் ஆர் கிராஜுவலி லோடிங் அப்படிங்கிற கண்டிஷனுக்கு you can look into it and you can find it out. And I have taken Kt value as 1. So this particular Kb value and Kt value you can avail from data book page number 7.21. Okay, I have taken it for a revolving shaft and gradually loading. So for gradually loading and revolving shaft, I have taken the value of Km and Kt value. Okay, so once I substitute, I can find out the equivalent twisting moment value. So once I know, I can compare this with the other formula, pi by 16 into tau into d naught cube into 1 minus k power 4. So what is k? Obviously you know that. You can find out the k value also. Okay, so after which I am substituting the value here, and I am substituting the torque 16 pi into d naught cube into 1 minus 0.6 power 4. I can find out the maximum shear stress. So since here the value would be big, I am substituting all the values in meter. So this is the first thing asked to find out. They asked to find out the maximum shear stress developed in the shaft. The second thing they found out is the angular twist between the bearing. Angular twist is nothing but the theta value they asked to find out. So the formula for that is T by J is equal to C theta by L, with which now I know the T value, I know the L value, I can find out J value with the formula, and C. Here I am going to assume the C value as 84 gigapascal. So 84 gigapascal is nothing but 84 into 10 to the power 9 Newton per meter square. I hope you know that what is giga, 10 to the power 9. Okay, I'm sorry. So hence G is 84 into 10 to the power 9 Newton per meter square. So now I know the T value. Using this formula I can find out J value. J is nothing but pi by 32 into d naught power 4 minus di power 4. And now I know C value, I know L value, so directly I can find out the theta value. Theta value will be in a radian. So to convert a radian into a degree, I am multiplying with pi in 180 divided by pi. I am having theta is equal to 0.275 degree. Okay, so now as per the given problem, I have identified the maximum shear stress and the angle of twist between the bearings. Okay, so now you have any doubt, you can ask.